While the world watches the escalating tensions between the US and Iran, there's a third player in this high-stakes game, one with the most to lose, and perhaps the most power to change the outcome. That player is Israel. Israel isn't just a spectator in this crisis. It's been preparing for this very moment for the last 30 years. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on Israel's strategy, its military capabilities, and the absolute red lines it will not allow to be crossed. This isn't speculation. This is based on decades of observable patterns, expert analysis, and cold, hard geopolitical realities. Forget what you think you know. We're about to look at the covert war that might just be about to go overt. Israel has been crystal clear, through both words and actions, that it will act alone, if necessary, when three red lines are crossed. First, nuclear breakout. This is the moment Iran enriches uranium to 90%, or weapons grade. Right now, they're at 60%. If they make that final push, expect a decisive response. We've seen this before with the Stuxnet virus in 2010 and a string of assassinations. But if that red line is crossed, the next step is likely kinetic strikes on enrichment facilities. Second, regional encirclement. This is Iran using its proxies like Hezbollah in the north, Hamas in Gaza, and forces in Syria to surround Israel for a coordinated attack. Israel has a long history of responding to this, with hundreds of strikes in Syria alone. If this threat fully materializes, we could see preemptive strikes on multiple fronts. Third, existential threats. This combines Iran's direct calls for Israel's destruction with its advancing missile and drone technology. Israel has a zero-tolerance policy here, just like in 1981 when it destroyed Iraq's Asyric reactor. If this red line is hit, expect Israel to implement its maximum force doctrine. So, where are we now? Think of it like a dashboard. Nuclear breakout is at about 75%. Regional encirclement is at 60%, but existential threats, that's at 85%. The overall alert level is high. To understand what happens next, you have to understand that Israel doesn't play by the same rules as the United States. Its strategy is a unique blend of ancient doctrines and cutting-edge technology. It all starts with the Begin Doctrine: prevent your enemies from getting weapons that can wipe you out, by any means necessary. This was the logic behind the strikes in Iraq in '81 and Syria in '07, and it's very much alive today. Then there's strategic ambiguity. Israel rarely confirms or denies its operations. This creates plausible deniability and multiple layers of deception, just like we've seen in the shadow war against Iranian ships and facilities over the past few years. But where Israel truly stands apart is in asymmetric innovation. Systems like the Iron Dome, with its 90% intercept rate, David's sling for medium-range threats, and the Arrow system that can take out missiles in space. This is backed by world-leading offensive cyber capabilities and AI-driven predictive targeting. And finally, don't forget the new regional alliances. The Abraham Accords are more than just a photo op. They've unlocked covert intelligence sharing with nations like Saudi Arabia and the UAE, and military coordination on air defense with countries like Jordan. For over a decade, Israel and Iran have been fighting a war in the shadows. But these incidents aren't random, they are calculated chess moves. Israel's campaigns have involved sophisticated cyber warfare like Stuxnet, strategic sabotage of nuclear facilities, and deep intelligence infiltration. Iran has responded with proxy attacks, drone swarms, and maritime harassment. We're currently at the highest level of covert conflict ever recorded between these two nations. We are one miscalculation away from this shadow war spilling into the open. The next step on the escalation ladder, in more shadows. It's limited, overt strikes, and the danger zone right after that. A multi-front conventional war. So, what happens if the covert war goes overt? Let's look at 3 Israeli scenarios that could change everything. Scenario: the lightning strike, with about a 40% probability. The trigger: Iran crosses the nuclear red line. Israel responds with a simultaneous F-35 strike on key nuclear sites. It's a limited, 48-hour operation with no ground invasion. The global impact. Oil could spike by 30%, forcing Russia and China to react. Scenario B is the Northern Front, with a 35% probability. This is triggered by a major Hezbollah attack using precision missiles. Israel responds with a ground invasion of southern Lebanon and heavy strikes in Syria. We'd be looking at a regional, multi-front war lasting at least 4 weeks, triggering a massive refugee crisis and disrupting global shipping. Scenario C is the persuasive demonstration. At a 25% probability, this happens if diplomacy fails. Israel conducts a very public, large-scale military exercise, maybe with a limited, targeted strike, to signal its capability without going all in. This would cause temporary market volatility before a renewed diplomatic push. What most analysts miss is Israel's meticulous planning. They have what's called a week of war stockpile. That's prepositioned ammunition, fuel, and medical supplies for exactly 7 days of intense, multi-front combat. This isn't improvisation. It's a precisely calibrated clock, ready to start ticking. Any of these scenarios would send shockwaves across the globe. Economically, if the Strait of Hormuz closes, oil could hit $150 a barrel. With 12% of world trade passing through the conflict zone, we'd see a massive inflation spike. Geopolitically, Arab states would be forced to publicly choose sides. Russia and China would have to balance their alliances and energy needs. So, what are the warning signs to watch for over the next 30 days? Here's a 5-point checklist. First, watch Israeli home front preparations, more civil defense drills, gas mask distribution. Second, military activations. Notice any reserve call-ups or elite unit family relocations. Third, political unity. Look for the formation of a war cabinet. Fourth, intelligence leaks. Watch for anonymous briefings to the media or accidental disclosures. And fifth, alliance coordination. Keep an eye on U.S., Israel military exercises and meetings between Israel and Gulf states. Israel's decision, when it comes, won't be based on emotion. It will be the result of a cold, calculated assessment of intelligence. They've shown patience for decades. But when they do act, it will be decisive, unexpected, and it will redefine the Middle East for a generation. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe for our next analysis, where we'll look at the roles of Russia and China, the wild cards in this crisis.